Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Jackson Hearth. Today, we're going to start really talking about things that really I am really passionate about. So, today, we're going to talk about decluttering. And really, in this first episode, we're going to talk about intro to decluttering, what decluttering is, what can you declutter, why would you want to declutter, things of that nature. So I have prepared a slideshow to help you take notes if you choose to. So please, feel free to get you a hot or cold beverage and a pen, pencil, and a notepad. And I'm hoping to also upload this as well over on my Patreon page. So let's get started. Give me a second and let me pull up the PowerPoint. So as you see, today we're going to talk about decluttering. Now, what is decluttering? So decluttering is the act of removing unnecessary items or mess from any overcrowded area to make it more organized, functional, and pleasant. So, for example, decluttering. Maybe you, uh, and we're going to go deeper in this later on, but I'm going to use this as an example. Maybe you have a entryway, and on the entryway you have a table, and that table catches pretty much everything. When you walk in, you put your keys, your wallet, your everything else goes on that table. Well, it's looking very messy, very cluttered. So what decluttering is removing the things that are not necessary for that table, or the way it looks is messy. It's the way of organizing it to make that table look more organized, look less messy, have a pleasant view when guests walk in, and it just makes it sets the stage for the rest of your house. Now, again, like I said, so decluttering can apply to both physical, whether it be rooms, closets, bathrooms, kitchens, garages, storage sheds, whatever it might be. But it also can be digital and mental. So digital, maybe you have emails. Like, for example, my Gmail has about 15,000 emails. I should declutter that. And I'm talking about it, but it's the email that I never use. So, but it could be files. It could be, for example, I just decluttered my screen and filed it. I made folders to put the different documents in that needed to be separated, organized. So when I open my computer, I don't see a lot of different documents. I just see folders and I know exactly what folder. But what you also can do is in those folders is make folders. So it's a way to really keep things organized. Now, maybe it's mental space. Maybe you just have things that you're thinking about, and that can really just be comments that you've heard. Maybe it's somebody said something that made you upset or made you question things. Now, those things can also be decluttered. And I always say, don't give people space in your head because they don't need it. You need, that space in your head for things that are really important, like, you know, like your children for working. I mean, they're all different kinds of things, but really we'll be talking about both kinds, but I'm mainly going to focus right now on the physical spaces, such as your living room, bathroom, bedrooms, libraries, studies, kitchens, offices. But please, if you have any questions regarding digital or mental space, please don't hesitate to leave a comment or feel free to also, if you want to message me, you can do that and we can talk because I have some ideas. Or if you just want me to do PowerPoint talking about digital and mental spaces separately, please also let me know that. Now, what sort of things can we sort? So the first thing we're going to sort, the one thing is we're going to figure out what we want to keep. So when you sort your items, okay, for example, for me, I am in the process of moving to a new homestead in Alabama. So right now I am sorting things. I'm sorting things of what I want to keep. And then I have to figure out if I want to keep it, then where am I going to put it? What room is it going to go in? What room will it fit in? where are things going to be that need to, function together? Like, my kitchen stuff or baking stuff or things like that need to go in the kitchen. Like my books, notebooks, things like that will go into my either into my office area or into my bedroom. So there's just some things. Now, you may not know exactly where you're going to put it, but you're going to need to know where you're going to keep it. Because in order to keep it, you have to know where you're going to keep it, where it's not going to be cluttered, where it's not going to be a lot of mess. But again, we'll get deeper in that as we go on. Now, we have to figure out what we want to donate and what we want to sell. Again, for example, as I am moving, I'm going to be donating um, pretty much everything because I really want to make sure that people can get it if they need it. So I'm probably going to be donating an air fryer. I'm going to be donating a refrigerator. I'm going to be donating a microwave. I'm going to be donating a lot of different things, clothes, suit jackets, things like that that I'm not going to be taking with me because I am really trying to declutter so that when I get into my new home that I will be getting, that it won't be cluttered when I move in, that everything has a space and that space is their home, right? So, and then the next one is what are we going to discard or recycle? Now, this is going to vary from probably state and county wherever you live because some things you can recycle and some things you can't. So you have to figure out what you can recycle, what you can discard, or maybe what you can really recycle in your place. Like for me, I have some bookshelves that I'm not going to be using. So I'm going to recycle them and reuse them. I'm going to use them as flower beds in front of my house. I'm going to put different flowers. I'm going to put herbs in them. So they will still be of use for me. So there's some things that you can just repurpose. And I refer to that as recycling because you're recycling it. They're really, I want to say cheap because I've had it for almost 4 years, but they're the cheap type, so they will decompose. So that will, so what you're going to need to do is what I'm going to do is actually put them in, and then I'm going to brick around them so that when as the wood decomposes, the brick will have the shape of the bookshelves. So therefore, I can still use them as flower beds. But whatever you can use, whether it's maybe repurposing it. And that could be a key that, that could be something that you're going to keep it. So you're going to put it outside. But you do need to figure out what you're going to throw away and what you're going to recycle. And I look at those as two different things. Throwing away is just going to go into the landfill. Recycling is going to be used to make more products. Now, why do people declutter? And this for me was very eye-opening when I started doing decluttering and studying and why. But really, I think the the first thing and the most important thing is to reduce the stress and your anxiety. Because I was told by a therapist that I was seeing at the time that sometimes when you're stressed or anxious, your home reflects your inner body, or your inner body reflects your home. So, for example, right now, let's say right now it's my house is a disaster because I am also in the process of, like I said, moving, but it's disorganized. So I feel disorganized. So, and you come home and you're just, you can walk in your door and you just hear that's the stress and the anxiety hits you because your house is not organized or it's not as tidy as you'd want it. That is when you know you need to declutter. When there are things when you get that anxious, when you get that stress, when you come home and you're not relaxed, when you don't feel comfortable, really, that's the time to sit. I mean, even if it's one or two things. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a lot of that. This is just the introduction. But again, reduce the stress and anxiety, I believe, is the first and most important thing. Now, the next one is to improve your focus or productivity. And a lot of people say and have told me that they can't cook, they can't do anything, they can't study, they can't, do homework, they can't work because their home, their office, whatever it might be, their kitchen is so disorganized or so cluttered. So this hurts their productivity. This hurts their focus. Where if it was cleaned and if it was organized, they would be able to do a whole lot more, maybe make up some more meals, maybe be more productive in the kitchen, making, breads or pastas or things like that from scratch and not having to buy all the stuff from the stores. Or maybe it's your office and you have to work it day in and day out. But because of the clutter, because of the mess and the disorganization, it's hard for you to focus on getting your work done because you're focused on everything else around you. And let's look at the next one is to create a more physical space and to make the home easier to clean. This is what I found actually is a benefit to decluttering because once everything is decluttered, once it's organized, once it has its space, it's out of the way, it's out of people's sight, or it's tucked away very neatly. This can enhance the size of your home or make it look bigger when it's really not. You've just organized in a way that makes the room bigger. But it also, for me, when I did my house and when I do my house as I am now, it makes it easier for me to sweep and mop and clean where sometimes it was taking me 30 minutes at a time to do my living room area. And my house is not that big, so 30 minutes is not actually is a long time because I don't live in a very big house. So, but when I organize, when I clean, when I get everything out of the way, I can do my floors, mop, sweep my floors in probably 10 to 15 minutes. So by decluttering, you are actually making it easy for you. You make everything is going to be easier. It's going to be easier to clean. It's going to be easier to sweep. It's going to be a pleasant place to look at. It's going to be, you're going to be able to focus more. You're going to be able to be more productive. Plus, the best thing is you're not going to stress or be anxious about your house and everything. If somebody comes over or, if somebody pops in, like, a friend or a pastor or somebody comes in, you're not going to feel that anxiety of how messy you feel like your house is. The next thing really for me was number two. Again, these are not in any order, but this one was for the second one. For me, it was control and clarity in my life. Excuse me. Well, because when the house is cluttered or disorganized, you feel like you don't have control. There's no control, there's no clarity. It's disorganized. You don't have control over where to put things. You don't have control over that. I mean, right now, I feel like I am out of control because again, I am going through things. So I'm in the process of decluttering. And for me, that can take me, a couple of weeks to a couple of months to declutter because I'm going through a lot of different things at one time. But again, we're going to cover that again later. And but the clarity, I think, and for me, when I have a clean, organized, and tidy house or room, I have more clarity. I can see a bigger picture. I can see what needs to be done. But when I don't, everything is just really disorganized in my head. So I don't really get that clarity that I need to be able to move forward. So I think that this is another thing why people declutter. Now, there are two methods. There are probably more methods, but there are two that I look at. And the first method, I'm probably going to butcher this name, but this method is the KonMari method, or sorry, KonMari method. Now, this decluttering is you do it by category and you ask yourself, what brings you joy? What sparks joy? What makes me happy? What things do I have that make me feel excited, happy, joy? These are things that you're going to keep. Other things that you don't feel that you're not going to keep. But I will say that I did um, I'm going to do a whole lecture on this. It will be in the Patreon channel, but I have decided to keep my Patreon channel free until the first of the year. So everybody go check that out over there. I'm going to be putting hopefully the PowerPoints over there as well. So yeah, I've actually done a deep dive into these two different methods that we're going to talk about. And the second method is the Swedish death cleaning. Okay, well, this does sound morbid, but when you think about it, you're thinking about what you want to pass on. Um, this really hit home for me because in 2016, my grandmother passed away and I inherited the house and everything in it. And no joke, I was finding paperwork and newspaper trimmings and doctor's payments and stuff like that from 1956, 1950, 1960, 1970s. So this is a way for you to really think about what you want to pass on to those loved ones. And I always say, ask, do you think they'd want it? Now, what I like, and like I'm gonna mention again in the deep dive, is I like to combine both. I like to keep the things that not only bring me spark joy and bring me joy, but also that I would not mind passing on to my brother, my nephew, my sister-in-law, some cousins, friends, family, whatever it may be, or whoever it may be. But because I feel like when you declutter, things need to have a double purpose. One, again, one's that spark joy, and two, that you wouldn't mind passing on to the next generation or someone. But again, I want to thank you so much because today we have discussed the intro to decluttering. I hope that this has really brought you some joy and some happiness to help you to understand why we declutter, how we declutter, what the reasons and why people declutter, um, and really the two methods of decluttering. But again, like I've said, I would love to really go in deep dive, and I will be doing that. It will be, this will go up on Wednesday, so the Patreon will be up on Thursday. Again, my Patreon page will be free for everyone until the first of the year. And I will put the link in the bottom. I'm hope if you have a problem, just feel free to leave me a comment and I will get that. And look in the comments because I'm gonna pin the link to my Patreon there. And also, if you would like to, support me, I'm not gonna be monetizing this channel, no matter how many people on it. That's why I have the Patreon page. I want this channel to be free for everyone. I want everybody to, to hopefully not have a um commercials or ads or that nature, but we may, but I'm not going to monetize. I'm just going to move everything over to my Patreon and you will be able to see this here and on Patreon. But my Patreon members are also going to be able to get real early access. You will have the videos that will be up on YouTube 2 days before it hits YouTube, and you'll get the page. And obviously, if you're Patrons, they'll just go up, and you can view that as soon as you click on it. But I'm gonna also again be putting the PowerPoints. I'm gonna be trying to do some PDFs. They're gonna be over there. So thank you again for watching today. And if you like what you've heard so far and you want to hear more about decluttering, please like and subscribe, share. I'm just trying to get this out there to help people. And again, we're going to go deeper and deeper into decluttering and look for the video on Patreon about the two types that we just talked about, as I will be explaining. And again, thank you so much for visiting from my hearth to yours. Thank you. Bye bye.